Hey, welcome to Ohio Real Estate. My name is Jason Ferrier. I'm a realtor and investor here in Central Ohio. And today it's all about Ohio. And this is my first live that I'm taking a deep dive into just the Ohio real estate market. Now, I normally do a live every week on Thursdays that's really a national update. And then I spend a little bit of time on Ohio. But I decided to start doing monthly deep dives just into the Ohio real estate market. So thank you for joining me. Um, yeah, if you're looking to invest, buy, or sell real estate, particularly in the housing market, residential real estate in the Buckeye State, if you're looking to do that, maybe you're moving to Ohio, maybe you're already a resident and you are looking to buy or sell a home. This video is for you. And we are going to look at a ton of data today, a ton of data. So I've got information from Redfin. I've got information from Zillow. I got raw information from Zillow. I've got some charts and some spreadsheets from Resi Club Analytics that we're going to use to look at county data, metro data, inventory, pricing, new listings, all that stuff. And I promise this is not a review of just MLS or Columbus Board of Realtor data. It's much more extensive than that. So again, thank you for joining me. And you'll have to bear with me if I stumble a little bit on this live because it is the first one for just Ohio. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to start with the Redfin data because it has some simple charts that we can quickly review. And by the way, please comment if you live in Ohio, even if you don't, and you have something to add, some bit of information about what's going on in your local Ohio neighborhood with real estate. I'd love to know. A lot of people learn from the comments. And, please let us know what's happening. Are prices up? Are they down? Are you seeing houses fly off the market? Are you seeing them sit for a long time? There's certainly an explosion of inventory nationally compared to the last couple of years. But here in Ohio, we haven't really seen a massive uptick, particularly in Central Ohio, with inventory. Nothing meaningful anyway. And sales are still really stagnant, but prices continue to go up. So anyway, all right, enough rambling. We're going to jump into it right now. All right, so let me share my screen. Yep, that'll work. All right, so this is the Redfin housing data, and Redfin puts this out every week. And every week I do review it nationally on a live with a little bit of Ohio, but this is just a deep dive in Ohio. So on the right-hand side here, if you go to Redfin, you can do this yourself. You can click on the region type and look at a county level. You can also look at metro level data, and then you can select the metro down here, depending on where you live. So right now I have Columbus selected. I have new listings selected. So that's where we'll start. So this is more of a chart form versus just data that we're looking at on a spreadsheet, but that's coming up here in a couple minutes. So new listings. So right now, the way Redfin reads this is a 4-week rolling average. New listings in Columbus were up in the Columbus market, which is really like Franklin County, Licking County, Knox County. I think they now cover Fairfield County, Union County, just kind of the central Ohio market. So it doesn't really cover Cleveland or Cincinnati at all, or some of the other, northwest areas or southeastern areas of Ohio or south. But we are going to get to some of those counties. So right now, Central Ohio looks like year over year, we're up 6.7%. And that's with new listings. So not a lot at all. We're not seeing a huge growth in new listings. There's just no doubt about it. We need a lot more new listings in order to, make some type of dent in the active listings. And you'll see that here in a minute. So New listings, not fantastic. All right, pending sales. Nope, we're going to go to active listings. Oh, it's probably going to reset on me. It did. Sometimes it does this. If you type hard, it works better. All right. So he took me back to. All right, active listings for Columbus. You can see here the orange line is 2024. I'm going to take out 2021 so you can kind of see more in 2022. So this gives us a clearer picture. So 2023, 2024, you can see 23 in the blue, 24 in the orange. We have 5,106 active listings. That's a year-over-year increase of 12%, 12.52%. Looks like a big increase, but when you look behind the scenes and tell me if this is happening in your market where you live in Ohio, the expensive listings are up year over year significantly, but the lower price listings, those are actually flat or in some cases down. So in Central Ohio, the median price is like 340 grand according to Redfin. So if you look at a median price point, that's all the houses lined up. And what's the house in the middle? That's the median. So all the houses that sold, what's the house that sold in the middle? That's the median price. That price right now is 340 grand. So when you think about that, houses priced over the median, over the 340 grand, we're seeing a huge rise in the amount of listings available for those houses, expensive houses. But houses under the median, under 340 grand, we're seeing not as much of an increase. And sometimes, in some cases, they're flat depending on the price point you're looking at. So make sure if you're looking at this, you're looking at price point. That's important because they're not all the same. You know, you'll see like here, you see active listings up 12%. And the Columbus Board of Realtors does a really bad job with looking at that data. They just say listings are up or active inventory's up. And they never talk about the different price points. And if they did, the picture would be much different because affordable housing, houses priced under that median, basically non-existent, especially ones that are good, you know, good neighborhoods, ready to move into, not destroyed, you know, not in flood zones, stuff like that. Very hard to find those right now. And if you do find them, they're bidding wars. So new active listings are up. Like I said, inventory wise, it's not slated towards the or it's not weighted towards the cheaper listings, you know, the affordable listings. All right. Now let's look at median sale price. All right. So for Columbus, median sale price, 346 grand. They will update this, by the way, tomorrow. But $346,000, up 3% year over year. That's a record according to Redfin. That's a record median price, period. And it shows slightly less than the Columbus Board of Realtors, but it shows, I think, 320 is the record, 324. 346, though, according to Redfin, that is a record. So our prices overall are up year over year by 3%. All right, pending sales. So this is when a pending sale happens, it's basically this, you know, when a buyer and seller enter into a contract to purchase a house and transact, that becomes a pending sale. So more pending sales would mean more sales overall, and more turnover generally is can be usually a healthier market. But right now, pending sales are woefully low. So if you look at 21 and 22, you bring in those years and you look at pending sales, we're way underneath. Now we're above 2023, but we're certainly not anywhere where we were at 2021 or 2022. So what does this mean? It means that if you're a real estate agent, you are not getting as many transactions. If you're a title company, not near as many transactions. And if you're a buyer or seller, there's usually just not as much selection out there, right? Not as much active inventory, and the pace at which homes are selling and turning over is just a lot lower. So that can actually be good from a buyer standpoint, even from a seller standpoint. Agents should have plenty of time on their hands right now. real estate agents should have plenty of time on their hands. Title companies should be able to act quickly, and lenders should be able to act quickly. And I'm seeing that. I am seeing that. They're ready to close in a couple weeks. So less activity for sure. All right, let's look at this will be interesting. Let's look at new listing median sale price. So this is the measure of how much are people listing their homes for. If you look at the median again in the middle, and you look overall in the marketplace, are we listing homes for more or less? So this keeps going up. Now we're at 356 grand, a rise of 4.5% year over year. By the way, the chart's down here at the bottom. It can get confusing looking at this, but if you look at it a lot, you'll start to figure it out easily. This is the year over year increase or decrease. So this measures just the year over year increase or decrease. This measures the actual dollar amount up here at the top. All right. Oh, and by the way, if you have an area of Ohio you want me to review on one of these lives, let me know. Just put it in the comments. You can shoot me an email too. My contact information will be in the description. Let's look at months of supply. And then we'll move on to a couple other things. All right, months of supply. 9 weeks of supply. So just over 2 months of supply. Still a buyer's market in Central Ohio, no doubt. We do have more months of supply than we did last year and the year before and the year before and the year before, but not near enough to call it a balanced market at all. It's still pretty much a complete seller's market. All right, so we looked at that. Now I'm going to switch gears for a second, and I'm going to look at this. All right, so this, my friends, is like real nerdy data for the housing market, but I like it. I think it's fun to look at this stuff. And I'm not taking credit for this data. This data is from a guy named Lance Lambert. So Lance, actually out of Cincinnati, so he's an Ohio dude. Shout out to Lance Lambert. He owns a company called Resi Club Analytics. You have to check out Resi Club Analytics. If you're in the housing market, if you're like a realtor, you certainly have to do it. If you're an investor, I would definitely do it as well. Check out Resi Club Analytics. They have a ton of free data, but then they have a paid subscription that's like $100 a year, completely worth it. He may have raised his prices. He should raise his prices, by the way, because it's a complete value. And then he gives you, every month, he gives you a download of all the raw Zillow data, and he looks at it in this format. So you can see the shift over time of prices by county, by metro, and he does it for the entire country. And then he has an article like every day that comes out, sometimes just for pro club members, that really dives into areas of the housing market that you usually don't see people talk about. Anyway, Lance is great. So shout out to Lance. All right. So let's look at this. So this is a spreadsheet that basically tells us the shift in home values using Zillow data from 20, 15, 10, 9, 8, all the way to a month over month shift. And it's updated every month. So right here is the 20-year shift in home values. And this goes by metro area in Ohio. Now, they don't look at every metro. They look at, I think they're looking at like the top 900 metros in the United States. So if an Ohio city or town didn't fall into the top 900 metros in the United States, not going to be on this list. But we do have a county level data set as well we'll look at. So what I can do is actually sort this by ranking. So here is the top cities in Columbus by metro size according to real estate data, not necessarily population. So Cincinnati, Ohio, one of the largest cities in Ohio. This shows you, for example, 20-year shift, 90% increase in house prices over the last 20 years. Now you go And actually, it looks like it went up in that 5-year time span from 20 years to 15 years, 95% 15-year shift, right? So then you keep going, and Cincinnati, you can see 2-year shift, 9%, 1-year shift, 6%, month over month, 2%. So home values went up 2% in Cincinnati month over month, went up 6% year over year, went up 9% over the last 2 years, and so on. I won't go through it all again, but that's how it works. Now, the other cool thing is that he shows here is the shift since March of 2020, and that's important because that's when the pandemic started. So one of the things Lance that looks at is how has the housing market shifted over the past 4 years since the housing market, since the pandemic was, had started. So that's, you can see since 2020 March, 44% increase in home values in Cincinnati. The next column he shows is a shift since peak. So since the 2022 peak, we saw in Cincinnati a 5% increase since 2022's peak, and down from peak is 0. So what this means is that if you look at 2022, when most areas of the United States peaked with the housing values, and then since then, there's some areas that have come down a little. In Ohio, particularly like in Cincinnati, it actually has gone up 5%. So it's gone 5% past the peak. And if you look at this nationally, these numbers nationally, that's kind of unique. There are areas that are down since the peak, no doubt. But Cincinnati's up from the peak 5%. So now if you look at, I should have said this, but nationally, for example, here are the numbers nationally here at the top. You can see what the shifts are year over year, 5-year, 10-year, 20-year shift. So let's go down here and look. I'll actually probably hide. This is what I can do is let me do this. Let me hide some of these columns real quick. All right, that makes it easier. Okay, so Columbus, Ohio, 20-year change in home value, 113%. By the way, nationally, it's 115%. So Columbus is just a little behind nationally over the last 20 years, the increase in home values. 10-year shift, Columbus is at 117%. 9-year shift, 103. I don't know why I have 9-year on there. I should take that out. Let me take that out. So 1-year shift, 6% increase in home values in Columbus, 1% month over month. Since the pandemic, 46% increase in home values. Shift since the peak, the 2022 peak, 5%. Obviously we're not down from the peak at all. All right, Cleveland, Cleveland. Just talked to my buddy who is from Cleveland. He lives in California now, but he's from Cleveland. What's up, Mark? Cleveland, Ohio, 63% increase in home values for the last 20 years. 90%, 10 years, 8%, 1 year, 2% month over month. Since the pandemic, 43% increase, up from peak, 6%. And comment below. Tell me if you think this data is great or if you think it's stupid, whatever. I like it. I think it's really interesting and telling. Akron, Ohio. I see Akron a lot on top lists. It's the 83rd largest metro area in the United States. Akron, Ohio. Wow. 71% increase in the last 20 years, 86% in the last 10 years. 1 year shift, 8%, 2% month over month. Since the pandemic, 41%. And obviously I can sort this by who has the most in Ohio, right? Which I'll do in a second. All right, so that is some of the top areas, right? The top 4 areas or so. Now let's look at something. This is fun to do. Let's just look at. So who had the largest shift? Wilmington, Ohio takes the top spot in metros for Ohio for 20-year shift, 130%. Are you from Wilmington? If you are, I'd like to know what's happening there. 10%, or I'm sorry, 10-year shift, 128%, 1-year shift, 8%, month over month, 2%. Since the pandemic, 48%. Since the peak, up 4%. This next one, folks, is like wild. Like if you live in Ohio, particularly central Ohio, I'm sure you've been to Zanesville. Now, I own properties in Zanesville. I own rental properties there. But I had no idea that they were up this much. So if you look at the top areas that have shifted over the last 20 years and gone up, Zanesville, Ohio, my friends, 119% increase in home values over the last 20 years. 119%. 10-year shift up is 110%. 1 year, 11%. Month over month, 2%. Since the pandemic, up 49%. Shift since the peak, up 7%. Wild. Completely crazy. Had no idea Zanesville was like that. And I invest in Zanesville. I go there almost and I go there a couple times a month at least, look at some other properties, check on my properties, whatever. And I don't know. I don't see how or why that's up so much. It is affordable, maybe because it's affordable close to Columbus. But it's not like it's just happened over the past few years. I mean, the 20-year shift is 119%. Unbelievable. And Columbus is third, 113%. Look at that. Then Springfield, Ohio, 112% over the last 20 years. Sydney, Ohio. Bellefontaine, Ohio. They actually have a Del Taco there. Only Del Taco, I think, in Ohio. 10-year shift, 96. 1-year shift, 10. Month over month, 2%. Since the pandemic, 36%. All right. Comment below. I'd love to know, do any of these surprise you? Because some of them surprise me. All right, let's look at a 1-year shift and see who leads in prices. I couldn't believe this either. I remember looking at this earlier today going, what? So United States, by the way, just as a benchmark, a gut check, 4% increase year over year for the United States in home values. Van Wert, Ohio. Van Wert, the place you've never heard of unless you're from Ohio. Even people in Ohio don't know where it is. 12% increase year over year. Leads all other metros in Ohio for the year over year increase in home values. Month over month, 2%. Since the pandemic, 53%. Yikes. 9% since the peak. Basically an all-time high. That's what that means. So it's an all-time high right now. Zanesville, same complete insanity, right? I don't know what else to call it. Zanesville, Ohio, in 1-year shift, 11% increase in home values. 49% since the pandemic. We already talked about that. All right, Bellefontaine. Look at that. That's in the top list too for 20-year shifts. Up 10%. Mansfield. I own property in Mansfield too. Mansfield, of all places, up 10% in year over year value. 54% increase since the pandemic. Unreal. You got some other ones on here. Toledo, I see that in the top list a lot. It's up 9%. So when you look at this and go, all right, how is Ohio doing? People say, my area, you hear people on YouTube and other, experts, I guess, talk about how the housing market in the United States is crashing. And there are areas that are dropping in value. So if you think for a second, if you just look at this shift nationally, look at the national shift in the United States. 1-year shift, 4.39%. And look at Ohio. We're up past that in most metros, except just a few. Marietta, I actually used to live in Marietta. Marietta, 3% increase. And Athens, home of Ohio University Bobcats, 1% increase in home value. So beyond those two metros, Every other metro has a larger year-over-year price increase than the national average. And to me, that's surprising. Um, and I think it's telling that because our area, our state is a great state to live in. And if you live here, you know that. And if you think about moving here, you should. Low traffic, pretty much low cost of living. Houses are still affordable for outsiders. If you're local, you don't think they're affordable, but they're affordable for outsiders. So, if you're coming from a place where houses are 800 grand, 340 grand, you can buy two houses, right? One for the summer and one for the winter, I guess. I don't think people buy summer houses in Ohio. Maybe they do. All right. Let's go to this. All right. So let's look at month over month and see who has the most. So they're pretty much all 2%, right? Nobody has more than a 2% increase in month over month. That's good. At least we don't have a huge price run up. All right. Let's look at, since the pandemic, who went up the most. No surprise. Mansfield, Van Wert, our new hero. Springfield, Ashtabula, Marion, Mount Vernon, Ohio. I own property in Mount Vernon, Ohio. Great town. If you're looking for a place to live in Ohio, check out Mount Vernon. Cool little city. Not too far from Columbus, not too far from Intel. Up 50%. Just unreal. Look at that 10-year shift. Holy shnikes. 157% increase in 10 years. Yeah. Ridiculous. Okay. So that is metros. Let's go to counties now. I told you I have tons of data. Like, I would never do this on the Redfin Live normally because it would take way too long. But this is my Ohio only live here. It's not letting me. Did it sort it for me? Yeah, it did. Okay, good. All right. So this is a county level look. And again, the numbers are shocking. When you look at this, most people particularly in Central Ohio, at least that's what I can relate to. They would tell you that the number one area of increased value is probably Franklin County, where Columbus is, right? They're kind of in a bubble. But if you take the blinders off and you look at the data, look at this. Perry County, Ohio. Now, you probably don't know where Perry County is, but it's south of where I am now in Licking County, and Buckeye Lake, which is like the lake of fun, I suppose, in Central Ohio. A lot of people are, go there on the weekend and stuff, a lot to do on the lake and everything. And they have real estate prices that are, 2, 3, 4 times what you would see in other areas of Ohio. So Perry County is really home to no really big cities or anything, but over the last 20 years, it's had a 145% increase in home values. I couldn't believe it was Perry County. And Holmes County, a lot of Amish live in Holmes County, 138% increase. Clinton County, 130%. Highland County, 129%. Brown, Hocking County, which is where Hocking Hills, and there's a lot of cabins there. There's a lot of Airbnbs there in Hocking County. Hocking Hills is there. A lot of people like to vacation there and stuff. And they have zip lines and trails and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of stuff to do. But it's up to 120%. Ridiculous. Here's Franklin County, 118% increase over the last 20 years. All right, and here's Licking County, where I live, 112% increase in 20 years. All right, let's go. Let me do this again. Sorry about that, folks. Let me change this. Remove some of this data. One thing corporate America did for me is made me good at Excel. It did do that for me. Corporate America definitely helped me there. All right. Now let's look at the biggest 1-year shift. Perry County. I didn't know that was going to happen. Perry County, 12% increase in home values year over year. Unfortunately, I don't have a month over month on here on the county level. I could probably figure it out, but I'll do that on the next one. So maybe I put it here. Did I put it here? No. So 12% increase for Perry County. Van Wert County, 11%. Hocking, 11%. Logan, 10%. Muskingum County, where Zanesville is, 10%. Fulton County, Lucas County. But if you look at it on a year-over-year basis, you got to go down to find one that's really in central Ohio. I mean, I guess Perry County kind of is, but Knox County is, some consider that central Ohio, up 8.5%. But I don't see Franklin County. Where is Franklin County on this list? That's where Columbus is. Man, must be late in the day. I can't find it. Oh, here we go. 6.99. So still up. But look at the 1 year shift nationally again, 4.39%. So all these Ohio cities, almost all of them, Ohio counties, down to like the bottom, bottom 6, and only one is negative. The bottom 6 have less than national price growth, but all the rest of counties, 82 counties, there's 88 counties in Ohio, 82 counties have higher growth rates of higher value growth rates. I don't know if I'm saying that right, versus national numbers. So there's only one that's down, 23%, Wayne County. I'd love to know what's happening in Wayne County. Why is it down so much year over year? I don't know. I'll have to drive out there maybe and check it out. But yeah, it's surprising, right? You look at some of this data and think, how can Perry County, Van Wert, Hocking be have the highest growth rate year over year? But they do. So pretty interesting stuff. All right, now that's pricing. Let's go to inventory for Ohio. Again, more nerdy data. So we'll start with the metros. And this is pretty robust data. So there are 3 data sets here. There's active listings of homes for sale. There's new listings. So homes that are new to the market. How many new listings are we bringing to market? And then there's days on market. So if you're looking for a deal, if you're like, man, I want to buy something, I want to invest in something, I want to buy a duplex, or I want to buy a house for my family. You can use a realtor like me to try to help you find something. You can look on Zillow. People do that. But the other thing I would pay really close attention to is these categories. I may not even pay attention to prices at the beginning. I would look at active listings. How many active listings do we currently have? New listings. How many new listings are coming on the market? And then days on market. How long are those listings sitting around? If you look at those metrics, you will start to see patterns. And if you look specifically in your zip code, subdivision, school district, you'll start to see patterns. And then when you identify a property that sits outside of that pattern, you're like, aha. In other words, if you're seeing active listings continue to rise month over month, and new listings rise, and days on market rise, prices could start to come down. It could be a signal that prices are softening. But if active listings are not increasing, new listings are not increasing, and days on market are not increasing, trying to find like a deal there may be extremely difficult. So if you saw days on market average at like 30 days on market, and you see a house that's on the market for 60 days, okay, that one may be one where somebody wants to give a discount, maybe. So that's one of the ways you can start to kind of find, the areas of opportunity where you live. That goes for any market, not just Ohio. All right, so this shows, again, it's a shift on each column. So it shows 5-year change. You guys weren't looking at that. 5-year change, 4-year change, 3-year change, 2-year change, 1-year change, and 1-month change of active listings. So by metro market, I've got Cincinnati. So 5-year change, if you look back 5 years, how much inventory do we have now compared to 5 years ago? 54% less for Cincinnati. 54% less active inventory. 4-year change, 36% less. A 3-year change, we actually have 34% more. 54% from 2 years ago. 1 year ago, we're actually have 23% more than 1 year ago. And then month over month, from April to March, or March to April, however you want to say that, we have a 6% increase in active listings. That's probably what a lot of areas of the United States are seeing. That's what we need in order to stabilize prices. Oops. Cleveland, 61% less active listings than we had 5 years ago. So when you hear people say active listings are rising, check them and go, yeah, but before the pandemic, we had 61% more active inventory in Cleveland. 48% less, 11, 12% more than 1 year change, 2% less, month over month change, 2% less. That's really interesting. There aren't a lot of areas that you're seeing less inventory year over year, but we are in Cleveland. 2% less active listings. Huh. That's crazy. They really haven't gained any ground at all, hardly, in active listings. Columbus, 35%. This is starting to come down. 35% less active listings compared to 5 years ago. 22% compared to 4 years ago. 47% more active listings than 3 years ago. 48% more active listings than 2 years ago. 1% change is 23% more. And month over month, 10% more active listings in Columbus. But you get the point. So I'm going to go down and look at where are we down the most in active listings for the last 5 years. Norwalk, Ohio, down 74% in active listings. Wow. Athens, Ohio, down 74% in the last 5 years. Chillicothe, down 73%. Point Pleasant, home of Mothman. By the way, if you come to Ohio, you got to go to Point Pleasant and check out the Mothman. It's a pretty cool thing. Goofy, but cool. 72% less active listings. Man. And then a month over month, they're down 4%. Year over year, Point Pleasant's only up 2% in active listings. Just no active listing. No, the inventory is just horrible. And Zanesville, I invest in Zanesville. Look at that, 63% active listings, less active listings. They gained some. And then look at this 1 year change in active listings in Zanesville, down 19%. Wow. I'll bet you, and I haven't done that. I'm not going to do this right now, and I didn't do this for this live, but what I'll do is overlay active listings, changes, and new listings and days on market. I'll attempt to overlay that into the prices, and we can kind of see a correlation. So we'll see, okay, if inventory is down a ton, new listings down a ton, days on market are low, prices should be high. Is that the case? And then we're going to check and see if if that theory holds water. The laws of supply and demand. Mount Vernon, I invest there, 58% less inventory from 5 years ago. Look at this though, from year over year, Mount Vernon's up 33% in active listings. I have seen a lot of active listings there. A lot of expensive houses with a lot of property, 4, 5, 600 grand. Hard to sell those right now with interest rates the way they are. But the median's still in the 200s. Wow. All right. Let's look at who had the largest. Well, let's do this. Where have we gained? Have we gained any inventory at all? No, we haven't. So virtually every metro in Ohio is still down from 5 years ago with active listings. Let's look at a 1 year change, shall we? We shall. All right. So from a 1 year look, these cities are down year over year with active inventory or houses for sale. I mean, it's amazing that there's still places that are still down year over year with active inventory. Bucyrus, Athens, Wilmington, Zanesville, Defiance, Chillicothe, Worcester, Canton, Bellefontaine, Cambridge, New Philly, Cleveland, and Findlay. Wow. All right. Who's gained the most inventory in Ohio? Mansfield. Year over year increase in inventory, 84%. Wow. I did not know that. So I own properties in Mansfield, Ohio. 84% increase in active inventory. They're still, though, 44% below pre-pandemic, April 2019. That's crazy, right? Van Wert, 76% increase. Fremont, 55% increase. Saw that. Mount Vernon, 33% increase. A lot of these have a pretty big increase in active inventory year over year, which is good. But it's still like hasn't caught up at all compared to 4 or 5 years ago. All right, let's look at who has the most month over month. So this is from April of this year to March of this, or I'm sorry, March of this year to April of this year. 34% increase in active listings, Ashland, Ohio. Then you got Tiffin, then you got Mansfield. We just talked about that. Jackson, Ohio, Defiance, Marion. I used to live in Marion. Lima, Springfield, Van Wert, Fremont, Worcester. All these have double-digit increases. Even Columbus has a 10% increase year over year in active listings. So looks like it's split almost, right? As far as the major areas in Ohio. Half are down, half are up. All right, that was active inventory. Now let's look at new listings. New listing time. In other words, how many houses are actually coming to market as new listings? Because this will then turn into active listings if they stick around, right? Or they'll turn into sales. So 5-year change, let's look. Salina, Ohio, 5-year change, 60%. So it's down 60% in new listings in Salina, Ohio. Portsmouth down 50%. Urbana down 48%. Greenville down 46%. Chillicothe, Marietta, Sandusky. It's just unbelievable, right? There's the amount of the amount of new listing change from 5 years ago. I don't think the industry's ever seen anything like this. All right, let's look at who is up the most in 5 years, if anybody. Van Wert, wow, is up in new listings 63%. Wow, I want to know what the sales there, because they're also up in prices. Point Pleasant up 39% in new listings since the last 5 years. Coshocton, Jackson, Wheeling, West Virginia, or Ohio, depending on what side of the river you're on. And then the rest are negative after Wheeling. Okay, let's look at, I'm really curious about this. Let's look at 1-year change. Smallest to largest. So where have new listings dropped the most in Ohio? Marietta, Wilmington, New Philly, Bucyrus, Weirton, Urbana, Sydney, Defiance, Athens, Greenville. All these areas right here. All these are down year over year with new listings. Not as many houses coming to market. That's just going to kill active inventory. All right, let's look at who is up the most in a 1-year change. New listings, remember that. Easy to get these mixed up. New listings, wow. Jackson, Ohio, up 217% in new listings. Man, this makes me want to drive to all these little areas. Some of them are small, some of them are big, but drive to these areas and find out what the heck's going on. We have to interview some realtors. Hey, if you know a realtor in Jackson, Ohio, let me know. Send them my way. I'd love to talk to them on a YouTube live. Let me check, see if any comments. Oh, Jason Walter. Yeah, it's a lot different than Florida. It's a crazy market in Ohio. By the way, if you need some YouTube editing, Jason's your guy. Hey, thanks, Jason. I appreciate it, dude. Yeah, hit 500 subscribers today. Yeah. One day I'll be as big as Jason Walter, but not today. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate your support, man. All right. Let's go back to the 1 year change. Let's look at, okay, now we're going to go to month to month, largest to smallest. Where is inventory increased month over month the most? Point Pleasant, home of Mothman, 108% increase in new listings. Wow. Now, let me go back here real quick and look at, look at this. So Point Pleasant, it's actually, this is active listings I moved to. So we're down 4% for Point Pleasant in active listings month over month. But for new listings, they're up 108%. So a ton of new listings hitting the market, but active listings are still down month over month. So it's like they must be selling like hand over fist there. There must be a ton of movement compared to other areas. I should have said this at the beginning. So for new listings, here's the national numbers. And I'll get better at this, folks, with the Ohio update. It's just, there's a lot of data here. So 1 month change nationally is up 9.23%. So when you're up 108%, that's a big difference. Yeah. Just insane, right? A lot of increases in new listings. All right, let's do smallest to largest. Who's down with new listings month over month? Portsmouth, Ohio, 29% less new listings month over month. Greenville, Ohio, New Philly, Sandusky, home of Cedar Point, Coshocton, Fremont, Urbana, Wheeling, Chillicothe, Wampakoneta in Springfield. All those areas down down month over month with new listings. Shocking. All right, days on market. So this is the number of days a house is actually for sale before it goes into contract. So 5-year change for days on market, Urbana, 21% increase in days on market over the last 5 years, since the last 5 years, or since 5 years ago, is how I should say it. 1 year change, 135% increase, 0% flat month over month. Bellefontaine, 15% 5-year change days on market. So homes are taking 15% longer, or I guess that's right. Homes are taking 15% longer to sell than they did 5 years ago in Bellefontaine. Marietta, homes are taking 13% longer to sell. Wilmington, Salem, and so forth, right? Now let's go to the smallest. 65% less days on market, fewer days on market in Jackson compared to 5 years ago. So homes are selling 65% faster. I suppose I could say it that way. Homes are selling 65% faster now than they did 5 years ago in Jackson. And I'm guessing most of these are negative. Yeah, they are, right? There's only a few that are positive. So most of the towns in Ohio, homes are selling a lot faster than they did 5 years ago. And that's really not a great thing. I mean, it's good if you're like one of the sellers, you list your house for sale and people come and bid on it. And you think, look at all these bids I'm getting. I'm like a master of real estate. Sometimes people think that, but like there's no time to make a decision. So, longer days on market is good. You want that. You want a balance there. What's Columbus? Let's look at that. 24% faster. Homes are selling 24% faster than 5 years ago. Now, let's look at 1 year changes. Year over year, Van Wert, 45% less time. Point Pleasant, Mothman, down 37%. So homes are selling 37% faster. And some of these are up a lot. So let's look at year over year. Who's the most? Nationally, we're up 2.17%, by the way, in days on market. So Urbana, Ohio, up 135%. So homes year over year are taking 135% longer to sell than they did last year at this time. And let's look at month over month change. Defiance, Ohio takes the number one spot, 60% longer to sell a house compared to last month. Or I guess compared to April. I'm sorry, compared to March. So April compared to March. Working backwards. But a lot of these are down, which is not what you want to see. I mean, it's spring selling season, so no surprise they're down, but 57% less time, Point Pleasant. 49% less time, Jackson. Van Wert is like at the top of this list all the time. Definitely have to go up there. Coshocton, Tiffin, Mansfield. Mansfield, the homes are selling taking 22% less time month over month. So days on market decreasing in all these areas. There's Zanesville, down 10%. Columbus, down 14%. Cincinnati, down 14%. So if you see that number increasing in your area, you see like, man, it's taking a lot longer to sell houses now in my market, wherever you are. That could be a good sign that maybe prices will start to change and maybe soften a little. But if you start to see that number come down, it's taking less time to sell houses, then things are turning quicker overall, and the chances of finding a deal are less. So it's kind of a good indication of what's going on. Wow. All right. So let's see. Oh, I've got a couple comments. Steve Hamrick, how are you? I gotta plug my laptop in. I always do that. What's up, Steve? Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hot Mothman. That's right. Mothman. Yeah, it's a cool little museum there. Definitely. All right. Well, listen, that was my Ohio Live deep dive into the housing market of all things Ohio and Buckeyes and all that stuff. But please, if you're watching this earlier and you live in Ohio, comment below. I'd like to know what's happening in your market. I'll have this more structured next month, but I definitely wanted to at least kick off, a really extensive dive into the Ohio market so that we could understand what's happening. And I may even do some live streams with some other realtors in Ohio who can, lend some insight into different markets. And again, I'd like to know what's happening in your area. So please comment below, like and subscribe to my channel. I post a lot of videos about the national and local real estate markets. And again, I do another live every Thursday, late morning or afternoon. So I'll probably do mine tomorrow. It'll be late afternoon or even the evening to cover the new Redfin update, both nationally and a small amount in Ohio. So anyway, thank you for joining me this evening. I hope you have a great night. Happy belated Memorial Day. Thanks for serving if you're one of those folks, or if you know one of those folks, or if you're a family member of one of the folks that serves or has served in our military. Thank you so much. And have a great day, evening. See you in the next video. I'm out.